Hostage, which is the other work that is in the large room, was done in 1994, and it also has a very strong political basis. It was originally commissioned by the Offenes Kulturhaus in Linz, in Austria. We were given, as artists participating in the show, a listing of topics that might be of interest and asked to pick one. On that list, I saw the name of Hans-Martin Schleyer, and that aroused my curiosity as to how he got on the list. The show was entitled The Foreigner, the Guest, and I had also just experienced in New York the first bombing of the World Trade Center, and it was my strong feeling that terrorism was coming to New York, to America, and that feeling, of course, proved very, very right. The situation of the kidnapping and the murder of Hans-Martin Schleyer for me was a very classic, important historical moment of terrorism in Europe. Instead of being able to talk directly about the bombing of the World Trade Center the first time, I found again that I need to always go back historically and pick a resonant moment historically as to what would happen. The Schleyer incident is one that's a no-win situation. He was kidnapped by the RAF. He was made to go on screen, on television, to call himself an enemy of the state. The thought was that he would be released in exchange for prisoners from the Baader-Meinhof who had been jailed. What happened was, in fact, that after Schleyer appeared on TV, he was killed by the RAF, and the Baader-Meinhof, all that were imprisoned in the jail, had died. The thought was the news issued out that it was a kind of suicide, but in fact, no one knows. It's the way that the JFK incident, no one really can say this is the definitive truth of what had happened. And what I set up was a situation that describes, as with Tiananmen Square, in sections, aspects of what had happened during that event. So you get everything from government training tapes to how the RAF were shown in the news along with other terrorist organizations, to the jailing, the imprisonment of the Baader-Meinhof, to the funeral session of Schleyer, to the actual footage of Schleyer himself on TV. That was very hard footage to get hold of because the family, and maybe I can understand, wanted to re-own the footage and not let it out again. Baudrillard had written that once Schleyer had appeared on TV, he was no longer of any value, and he felt that was the reason that he died. And again, my interest is always in the language of television and how what is being communicated, how mass media is being used, how to make commentary on it. There are two large monitors compared to the smaller monitors. The other larger monitor shows the receivership of the news in the United States. It comes by fairly quickly, different sections like pictures and statement from an article. There's a laser gun that shoots a laser in between the two main monitors. The reason for having that is if you step inside this to see an image, a part of what was going on with Schleyer, you also target yourself so that I'm looking for the little red dot. The red dot will come onto you. You become implicit inside the structure of the piece, and that no one is kind of standing outside the work. If you're standing as a distant viewer, you can see someone else be targeted. That even receiving the news makes you a part and parcel of the news. That it is how one communicates, and how one communicates the dominant events that are happening around them.
that changed society in this period. People realized that violence, terrorism, was a crisis